We managed to have an online edition of the festival with two offline events, one big offline event, but again, we tried to make it as safe as possible, and it was an open air screening in Odessa. But it was, of course, very difficult to put together the budget. Our commercial partners and sponsors, they withdrew because they had to save their own companies, and supporting the festival was extra cost in this situation. So we could only count on state support. What our government did is that they, of course, needed extra finances for medical support, and so on and so forth. So they didn't find a better way as to cut out the budget for culture. So there was an initiative to cut down all planned expenses to support cultural sector. This includes everything. Film, Ukrainian Cultural Foundation, which supports all kinds of arts, literature, etc., etc. So that was the first attempt when in other countries governments were coming up with emergency packages with ideas, grants, and so on and so forth to support artists. Our government decided to go the other way. So there were lots of protests. We also organized one of those big online protests for approximately 10,000 of people who were joining, and then they sort of heard us, I hope, and they decided to cut just, if I'm not, okay, in average it's 30%. From their point of view, it was also kind of a game, you know? You say that, okay, we cut all the budget, we cut 100% of the budget. Then people start to protest. They say, okay, we will leave you 60, 70% still there. So, and you are like, okay, at least something. A lot of efforts really were put in this attempts to have dialogue with officials, with decision makers in the government or at the Ministry of Culture. Actually, at the moment when, like since March last year till August or September, there was no Minister of Culture because the previous one decided to quit and the new one was not appointed. So there was no one, actually no face who would actually stand for the culture. The competition for getting these state funds is much higher this year because, again, there are no alternative sources of finances. So, and there are lots of manipulations and very not transparent procedures, and basically it's all decided by several people now. And it's a pity because this is not the system we were all actively building for the past 5 years, for example.